Well, I'm excited to be here today with Evan Knies on the Delivered Orthodoxy podcast. And so if you're watching this for the first time or after many times, if you've not yet subscribed, if you've not yet liked one of our videos or commented on it, we appreciate a little bit of feedback. Always appreciate you tuning in. And we're trying to have edifying conversations that will encourage the body of Christ. And certainly, I hope that's what this is going to be today. Yes. I hope it's going to be edifying, for all of us. And Evan's a pretty interesting guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit over the course of the last, year or so that we have connected. And so I just want to ask you a few things about yourself. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you do and those things. We're going to start out with just telling us a little bit about, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about the role that you have at your local church. Maybe tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah. So my name is Evan Knies. I serve as an elder at North Hills Church in West Monroe, Louisiana. I've been there. We moved to North Hills right before COVID. Yeah. So we've been there almost six years plus now, and married to Lauren Knies. Lauren, she's a Roark, but she's West Monroe native. And we met in high school, and we've been married 11 years. And so we have two wonderful kids. Mason, she is 7, and Josiah, he is 2.5. Oh, so awesome. We've the Lord has blessed us, me and Lauren, and just got a great family, and living in our hometown. So we both grew up in West Monroe, and the Lord has allowed us an opportunity to be at North Hills, and it's been good. So I'm serving as an elder at North Hills and oversee family ministry and a whole host of other things, discipleship at our church, and I teach at Courier Christian. So I teach middle school science and 10th grade Bible, and then I oversee some of the work of Courier Publishing. Okay, and we're gonna get in a little bit into that a little further here in just a few moments. He is Evan is a man of many parts, and certainly we talked about that a little bit this morning. You got a lot going on, and certainly the Courier Publishing is certainly something we're going to get into here in just a few moments. But I did want you to introduce yourself, and I do want to give you a little gift. Thank you. All right, I know you really came for the swag. Yes, that's what it's all about. These are. I want you to understand that I don't give these out to everybody. We had Tom Higgs, we had different guys on, that we do remotely, but I don't, we have a very low budget here. Okay. And so I can't, I don't have a budget for mailing. Okay. So I can't ship things, but if you come in the studio, all right, you get a Delivered Orthodoxy mug. And so there you go. So you drink it, drink your coffee in that. And, thank you so much. If it doesn't turn your stomach to see me and Brother Shad. Two of my favorite people. There you go. Shad and Paul. There you go. There we go. Yeah, those are a hot commodity around here. So anyway. Thank you so much. Oh, absolutely. But you and I connected, I guess, maybe about a year ago or maybe a little bit less. And we connected, just you and Shad, I think, connected first. And maybe I met you and talked with you. And we were talking, I think then maybe a little bit about the Pillar Network and if we can, if I can figure out their website, it's really user friendly, but I'm a poor user. And so I'm going to blame myself, but we might accidentally be a Pillar Network church by the time this airs. They did invite us, and we have tried to sign the covenant, but it just hadn't happened. So anyway, we're working on that, but anyway, it could happen. But we really connected, as a result of our hearing about the Pillar Network. And then I learned about your role with Courier Publishing. And so most folks probably in our area, they may not know they may not have heard of Courier Publishing. And so would you tell us a little bit about Courier and your role with them? Yeah, so Courier Publishing is associated with the Baptist Courier. So the Baptist Courier is the historic Baptist news for South Carolina Baptists. It's been around for over 100 years. It's very helpful for South Carolina Baptists, but they are the only Baptist news for the state that has a publishing arm. Okay. And so Jeff Robinson was hired a few years ago as the president and CEO of the Baptist Courier. And I knew of Jeff from Southern, and when he was hired, me and him got reconnected, and he offered me the role of publisher for Courier Publishing. And so I oversee all the books we publish. It's been great. I think being able to partner with South Carolina Baptists, and then to see our heart for South Carolina Baptists and beyond in that. And I'm currently in Louisiana, but the Lord, I think, has used Courier Publishing to help South Carolina Baptists and to help Southern Baptists at large. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I've really appreciated, I've read several of the books. Mending the Nets is one that I read. Phil Newton, is that? Make sure I get his name right. I think I've called him. If I ever know anyone else with the same last name as you, I'll change your name every time I say it. So anyway, I think I've called him other Newtons before. But anyway, it's Phil Newton, Mending the Nets, which was really an encouragement to me in thinking about church leadership and those things. And then Brandon Langley's book, and I got to interview him related to that on church membership. I mean, highly practical. I mean, these books were very, not just encouraging and well written, but also very helpful to the ministry of the local church. And I really appreciated that. And so I'm very thankful for those two books and others that I've gotten from you guys. Just seems to be what you guys are all about.
Yeah.
And
we want to publish books that are going to be helpful for Christ Church, whether it's pastors, church members. We just want to see the bride of Christ flourish from what we publish, and the believers read. Enjoy what they're reading.
Absolutely.
And be a benefit there. So, and I appreciate you mentioning that about Brandon's book. I think Brandon's book is very practical and to be able to put in the hands of members.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if people have questions about church membership, then walk through that. Devoted Together is the title of that book. And then Mending the Nets, I think, is very practical for any Southern Baptist pastor to work through rethinking biblical church leadership. I would love to put that in the hands of anyone.
And it addresses plurality of elders, those kind of things, and really goes back and looks at the biblical text, and then kind of lays out just not necessarily an apologetic for doing things that way, but gives some very practical steps you can take, and then also just kind of to work through that as a congregation, see if that's something that you'd be interested in, or something that would be helpful to your church. And so just a real blessing. And I did pick with somebody. I think I was trying to figure out what your title was, and so I think they should call you like the Czar of publishing. I think that's what they're trying to get like a NCAA Czar right now for football or something like that. And so I think maybe you could be the Czar. I think we need to bring that back.
Well,
it'd be good.
Whatever my title is, I'm just thankful to be a part of Courier and what we're doing, and I have a privilege of being able to work with pastors, and authors, and seeing their ideas and books take shape and come to life, and then being able to get a book in your hand that you thought of a year or two ago is just great. I mean, I think Baptist History for Kids by Tom Nettles. That was one of the first projects I wanted to do. And to just kind of see that whole thing take shape, and then hearing from people at conferences, hey, this has been such a helpful book for us in our church, and then hearing some Sunday school classes going through that. And it's really encouraging to me. But I just want to be used by the Lord in this role as long as I can be.
Well, I think nowadays it seems that every time you turn around, there's a new. I mean, there's so many books being published. There's so much media, that is out there for consumption. And so, what is your? I mean, when you're looking at, and I don't even know how people go about it. Like I don't have a book or anything. I'm not trying to get a book published, but if someone was, if I saw a need and I'm writing a book, or I have an idea for a book, like how would I even begin to do that, like as a pastor or someone who's, how would that process, what does that look like for you guys at Courier Publishing?
For us at Courier, you can go to courierpublishing.com and find some of the emails on some of our emails listed there. But my email is eknies@baptistcourier.com. If you have any questions, please feel free just to email me directly. But we have some questions that they need to answer.
Oh, yeah.
And if their book is in agreement with the Baptist faith and message, because we're Baptistic,
Yes.
we're associated with the Southern Baptist Convention to an extent.
Yeah.
We want to publish in line with that and not in contrary to the Baptist faith and message. So there's just some questions they need to answer,
Sure.
and then maybe like a one-page overview of the book if they don't have the manuscript developed yet. If they have the manuscript developed, that's great.
Obviously,
that's a plus.
Yeah, you go ahead
That's a
with
plus to go ahead and have that.
Yeah.
And then that gives us a better idea if we would be the best publisher for them or not. But there are so many great ideas that people have, and we may not just be the best fit as a publisher for them. So I would love to help direct pastors, Bible-believing Christians to the best publisher.
Absolutely.
So if people have questions, contact me. I love to talk. And then if Courier is not the best publishing house for them, I would love to help in ways to get good books out there.
Well, let's get back to that kind of niche that you guys are trying to fill.
Yeah.
Because that might help people that both would want to publish, but also those that would want to purchase, as well. Looking for resources. Because you and I talked about this a little bit. With there being so much media out there, and there's so much publishing going on, people are publishing and this and that. I mean, what are you guys at Courier? What is the niche that you're trying to fill, or what would be the type of book that you guys would want to put in the hands of a local church or local pastor or church folks?
So we're going to be coming at our books from a Baptistic standpoint, but we want to have an approach of a warm, big God theology.
Okay.
We want to be gospel centered, and I'm not saying that in the sense of we're just using terms.
Yes.
We want the gospel to be clear in our books, and the people that read our books to rejoice in the work that Christ has done in our place, and we want that to be clear and evident through what we publish. So warm, big God theology, Baptistic in nature, and really, I mean, just that approach. We see a void in some of that in the publishing, and we think we can fill that void. So we have partnerships with Pillar Network. We published Churches Planting Churches. We plan to publish more with Pillar Network. Published Nate Aiken's book, Convictional, Confessional, Cheerful Baptists.
Got that one too.
I need to make sure we emphasize cheerful.
Cheerful Baptist.
But we could call it CCC Baptist for
There
short.
There you go.
But we want to work with a lot of Pillar Network pastors, and I love my brothers in the Pillar Network, brothers and sisters in the Pillar Network, and they have a ton of great ideas too.
Well,
but that's kind of the route in which we want to publish. We're working with other ministries like Practical Shepherding, and we've got a series coming out with them starting in the fall, and others like Preaching and Teaching and stuff too.
Yeah, what even today, and just full disclaimer, you did give me a few books today.
Yes.
And so I was really excited about that. I just gave you a mug, and so I'm not going to tell you how much the mug costs, but I know the books cost more. But you gave me a few books today, and even in just looking at the titles of those books that you gave me. Now, of course, a couple of those, like I said, Men in the Nets, some of those I'd already read and have. But books on the ministry of the deacon, practical things within the body of Christ, church, figures in church history. Some church history there, and just really, those things that maybe our mainstream publishers aren't quite giving us quite as much of, but are so vital, to the life of the local church. And I don't think many times we don't get really excited about a book on deacons, and there's not as much published as we would like to have in the training of deacons, and then also the theology or the the doctrinal underpinnings of the deacon ministry and those kind of things. And so that's something that I see is, in the titles that I've seen, seems that y'all have been fairly intentional on making sure that those things kind of fit that niche. And so that niche there. So,
and I think our authors see that too.
Yeah.
And so they approach us and they say, oh, there's nothing written on this. There's nothing really covering this. And there has been, I think, to some extent, a resurgence in some things, but not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need more than one book on one subject. I think it would be beneficial for Christ Church to have a plethora, many books on the role of a deacon in the life of a local church. Yeah. So A Deacon on Purpose, we published that. I think it's helpful. But there's other books too that other publishers have published, but we need to publish more.
Yeah.
We need to publish more.
Well, I mean, I think about, even when we were looking at and prayerfully considering our church polity and moving to a plurality of elders. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 6 years ago or so when we began that process. And I remember looking for books on Baptistic books, on elders, under eldership. And there was a few things from 9 Marks. Mm-hmm. There was a few things out there from 9 Marks, but also, then I had biblical, or I forget my goodness, and I've had him
Biblical Church eldership,
Stroud.
Yeah.
And of course that one is, been around forever. Mm-hmm. And Stroud's book has, and it's sort of the gold standard, but he's not coming at it from a Baptist background. Yeah. He's coming at it from more of a non-denominational Bible church, type background, and he served as an elder for many years in that way. And his view, there's certain nuances there, of course, that you're going to have, and they're not as congregational, and those things. And he had some very strong opinions about that. Even I interviewed him before, and he laid them out there. But it's a blessing to have more of those resources from a Baptistic perspective, and so that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And so, and now you talked about a little bit about you guys being connected with Pillar. Mm-hmm. Okay. How deep do those partnerships go, or how did you become connected with them?
I mean, it really just came out of us, me being an elder at a Pillar Network church. So North Hills, you guys will be the second.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Louisiana.
I'm not sure.
But we've been a Pillar Network church, I guess 5-6 years now too. So just from those connections and partnerships, and then when I got the role at Courier, just talking with Nate Aiken and Dave Keene and others there, I love them and I want to work with them. Yeah, and they're great authors. They are. So I think the partnership just came natural. Matt Rogers too, Phil. Just those conversations, it just happened organically.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, one of the other things I ran across, and I think I ran across it because you had written a blog or an article or something, related to some books that from last year that you thought were really they weren't all Courier books. No. Now, so he reads other things besides the books that you guys are publishing, and but a little, I guess, a website or whatever it's called, the King's Table. Yes, I ran into that there on Facebook. So tell me a little bit about the King's Table and what that's about.
So the King's Table, it started with a desire when I was at Southern with some other guys from the South for us to make a website with some articles and resources to be able to encourage churches that we came from and people we know that were still ministering in the Southeast United States. And so we called it Deep South Reformation to start off.
So you said y'all changed the name.
We changed the name. Okay. But our desire was, in the Deep South, where sweet tea is sweet.
There you go.
And we wanted to see a reform in churches, just churches pursuing a love for Christ and His church. We wanted to see that when we were in seminary. So most of our writing was to that end, and we did book reviews and things like that. But when I moved back to West Monroe, our our reach was becoming more than just the Southeast. And we desired to then change the name then to the King's Table. And to that name change, we want to see people come to Christ's table.
Absolutely.
And to rejoice in that. So we didn't just have Baptists reading our website too. We had more than just Baptists, and so we wanted to kind of change where we were going with that too.
And you said, you're not quite as active in that maybe as you used to be. Those
not
kind of things,
as active.
I
probably post maybe once or twice a year now. I need to do more. But that's definitely on the back burner from.
Well, you got a few things going on.
Yes.
7-year-old, 2-year-old wife. Elder of the church. Overseeing a publishing house. You got a few things happening.
Got a few things.
And another full-time job. So it's important stuff. Important stuff. Well, I enjoyed. I appreciated that article that you had on there, and just always good to if I see book reviews, that helps me a little bit to think about which books I want to purchase and folks I want to read behind and that kind of thing.
And to that, there are so many helpful publishing houses out there. I think Crossway. When I think of the standard of a publishing house, I think of Crossway. Crossway produces so many helpful resources, and they give so many helpful resources out. Banner of Truth, great. New Growth Press. There are so many great publishing houses out there that publish so many books that at the end of the year, I want to emphasize their work too. And through that post, that's what I was wanting to do. But we desire to be publishing helpful books, but we have the age in which we live. We're blessed with the amount of publishing houses that are having good content out on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Well, we live in an age where we're just inundated with media constantly. And it's really easy. I think even for us as pastors, as elders, we can consume media in so many different ways. And I find myself reading less, than I did at other times in my ministry. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to different things, and our attention span and our thoughtfulness, also is affected by that because we're inundated. We allow so much media into our minds and in our hearts and all those things that then to sit down and actually crack open a book and read it, systematically from cover to cover is something probably that's happening a whole lot less in a lot of arenas. And so certainly for us as pastors, we need to be people who read. And we need to be thoughtful. And we need to spend time meditating on things. And so it's vital that we choose the right things and that we discipline ourselves to do that. Certainly God's word first and foremost, but also good books. As well.
So, be in the book.
The book.
But then have helpful books around.
Absolutely. All right. Well, is there anything else you need to any advertisements you need to give? We need at least know. We need to know where to go find these books.
Go to courierpublishing.com. To find them. We're available on Amazon. Courier Publishing sells through Amazon and other outlets. But if you have any questions, email me at eknies, EKNIES @baptistcourier.com. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. If you would like bulk orders of books, they can email me directly. And if you've got a book idea, feel free to reach out to me. If it doesn't work out with us, I would love to help in any way there. But man, I'm looking forward to this partnership that we could have between our churches too.
Absolutely.
Between North Hills and Emmanuel. And I'm so thankful for you and Chad and what you guys are doing at Emmanuel. I'm praying that the gospel continues to go forth and Reston and man, it's just good work here. So
we're thankful. We're thankful to be able to be used by the Lord, and certainly thankful as we even just thinking about not just connecting, but just being able to pray for one another. And so I'm thankful we can network in that way and pray for one another, and certainly look forward to hopefully maybe even being able to go. Y'all have a Healthy Church conference
We
coming
do.
up.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that before
Yeah,
we sign
so
off.
Building Healthy Churches Conference 2026, our theme is going to be evangelism. And we've got Zane Pratt and Preston Thomas coming to speak. So Zane serves at the IMB, and then Preston is another pillar network pastor in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Mhm.
It's going to be September the 19th. So we meet in the morning at 8 o'clock. We'll be done by 3:30.
Mhm.
So if you're in North Louisiana, South Louisiana, East Texas, West Mississippi, make sure
South Arkansas,
South
or
Arkansas,
Alaska,
yeah,
wherever.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, if you,
I mean, this.
I don't know
The
if you can
Delivered
make it back.
Orthodoxy podcast
Yes.
has such a large reach
Yes.
that y'all may have
Yeah.
to find a new venue.
Well,
I'm just
that'd
telling
be
you,
great.
you know,
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be
so-
great. But I don't know if you can make it back to your Lord's Day gathering.
Yeah, that's
if you're
true.
in Alaska.
That's true.
But you
That's true.
can if you're in Southern Arkansas or West Mississippi or
Absolutely.
East Texas, and even South Louisiana. So we've got brothers that come up from South Louisiana. But September the 19th will be at North Hills Church, 2208
There
Wellerman
you
Road,
go.
West
There you
Monroe,
go.
Louisiana.
Yeah,
So
well,
it'll
awesome.
be good.
Awesome.
And we give out books. We have books for those who register and stuff too.
Awesome.
It's just a
Awesome.
great time.
Well, I hope to be a part of that again this year. And I
Yeah.
really was blessed last year to be a part of that. It was
Yeah.
a good time fellowship.
Yeah. Maybe we can get you on a panel.
Oh, no, I don't need to be
Yeah.
on. I'm good. I'm good. Start asking those questions, man. I like being on this side. I don't. And so, Brother Shad likes to interview me from time to time on here. He likes to paint me into a box or a corner, and stuff. But anyway, I try to get out of those.
Yeah,
but anyway, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, share. Get this out to more people. We're just trying to encourage the body of Christ and certainly have edifying conversations that help us see what others are doing and how Christ might do the same things in our churches and our lives. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you.